I'm Al Bledsoe, Veterans of Foreign War, Post 1108, Richmond, Indiana, and we'd like to welcome you to another session of Proudly We Served. And to start with, we're going to go around and everybody introduce themselves, and I'll start with Ron on my left side here.
I'm Ron Chappell, chaplain for Vietnam Veterans Post 777, and co-host here with Al on Proudly We Serve.
I'm Carla DeLauder. I'm the nurse manager of the Richmond Community-Based Outpatient Clinic.
Well, I'm Anthony Morris. I'm the office manager of Richmond Community-Based Outpatient Clinic.
Thank you very much. Before we get started today, I'd like to take just a minute and thank all the veterans and families and everybody that participated in all the 4th of July celebration, the fireworks, and that takes a lot of money and a lot of time to put all of that on, and it looks like the Legion has done a good job, but that's really something how our country is now, as old as it is. And we just appreciate so much the veterans and their families and the other families that are not veterans that participated in all that programming. So with that, we'll get started in just a little bit. And first question will go to Anthony. And tell us what CBOC is. We don't deal
like Community-Based Outpatient Clinic, which is a CBOC, is the way that Richmond receives their services from the Dayton VA Medical Center.
And now what qualified Richmond to have a CBOC?
Okay, we have approximately 3,200 veterans that are seen in this area. Actually, as far as the counties that are covered by the Dayton VA Medical Center, we have Union, Fayette, Wayne, Preble, Dark, Randolph, I believe. And so we have so many patients that are seen out of those counties, and so we had to have a rural community outreach clinic or outbased clinic, patient clinic in this area.
Carl, what do you do as nursing, the head of nursing and things? What's your day like?
I supervise the nurses, and currently we have 3 RNs. We have 3 PACT teams, which are patient line care teams.
Okay. And
each team consists of a provider, whether it be a physician or a nurse practitioner, an RN, an LPN, and an MSA or a clerk. So I supervise the nursing, which is the LPNs and the RNs. And then currently we are recruiting another provider, another whole team. And we have some of those staff members on board, and some are still to come.
The last I was there was last Wednesday, maybe it was. And it seemed like the flow of patient flow looked good. It looked like everybody was getting taken care of in and out pretty quick, and there wasn't anybody mad because they had to wait or anything, because sometimes, you know, patience wears pretty thin in the doctor's office. But so I thought it was really good in the office down there. The new facilities are absolutely outstanding.
Awesome.
I mean, that's really about as good as it gets.
We're pleased with the outcome as well.
Yeah. Did you get involved in the planning and all of that of the offices themselves and layouts and things like that?
From the very beginning, they involved a team, a PAC team, and the design of the new clinic. And we went through the processes that were happening at the old facility and the way that the processes could be improved for the staff and the veterans. And they were involved. There were weekly meetings from the very beginning in the design of that clinic. And this clinic is the first in Vision 10 utilizing the PAC design. We're the model.
Wow. And Vision 10, you said?
Vision 10.
Now what's that mean?
Vision 10 includes Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland.
Okay.
And all the CBOCs involved.
So we're kind of the guinea pigs of it.
Yep. We're the pioneers.
Well, good.
Do you think we'll get to the point where we're doing the x-rays and different things like that at the clinic, or is that just something that's not going to happen, or how is that being handled?
Nothing is off the table.
Okay.
But right now the demand is just not there. If we had the more patients we see, the more services we'll bring to this area. The more veterans that decide to leverage our facility, the more services we'll get. We currently have mental health. We have rehab services. We have telehealth, which that brings a lot of the services that are not in our actual facility. It brings them from Dayton, so patients can come in. We put them in front of a monitor. They can actually discuss their issues or conditions with the provider from Dayton.
And we added audiology. So
wow.
The veterans can get hearing aids now.
I didn't realize we had that many services down there. Did you? I mean, it's
no. And you kind of push my button here because I'm a techno guy, okay? But are you saying that you can come into the new CBOC, and if we don't have a provider, specific type of provider there, you can put them in front of a monitor and they'll interact with the provider
in Dayton?
Is that right?
Oh yes,
Well,
we
look
definitely.
out
It's
now.
called telehealth.
Yeah.
We have teledermatology. We have telenutrition. So if we don't have a nutritionist available, they do that. We have I think we're going to go to an anti-coag clinic.
Right.
That's going to be that way as well.
We do a lot of telemental health.
Yes.
Wow.
So those services, but like I said, the more veterans we get to enroll, the more services we'll bring to the area.
That's about appointment, the tele.
Yes, It's the same way your primary care provider is scheduled. Those are scheduled as well. Your primary care provider would decide to see that you needed those specialty services. They would send a consult to that particular service, and then they would arrange the appointment for you.
Ah, okay.
It was told to me the other day that they're going to try to do an outreach to the other counties and actually see why the new veterans or the young veterans that basically are coming home, to try to get them signed up or whatever they have to do.
We reach out during a lot of the festivals and things during the summer months. We do outreach. We try to have a presence at, like I said, fairs and other outreach events, so where we can raise enrollment as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So,
Go ahead.
well, I was thinking, can family members of veterans receive service at the CBOC?
That's not typically.
There are some eligibility requirements, such as 100% service-connected vet can possibly get some health care for their spouse.
Oh, okay.
But it's all has to do with eligibility and service connection and
Right.
other factors.
Right. So that person would need to come in and talk to you guys.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
As office manager, what exactly do you do during the day? What is your job that you do?
Well, just caring for any needs of the CBOC, making sure that supplies or other admin responsibilities are taken care of, and just addressing any issues that come up during the day.
It seems like those things are, to be honest, you don't hear just much, you don't hear any chatter about that. So I think the new CBOC is just, it's kind of turned the page in Richmond, and it just seems like those kind of issues are good. I mean, it's all good right now.
Right.
And especially if you're going to bring another team on, that's going to be,
That's
going to even limit just almost no waiting time.
Yeah.
It looks like to me that it further it along.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
So Anthony, do you guys do any coordinating with local providers? If I need a referral service, does it have to go to Dayton? Can you guys do it, or?
Typically, when there's a referral for a service that we don't provide, that consult is sent to non-VA care, and non-VA care usually coordinates that service out in the community.
Okay, and they have to be approved by VA.
Well, first, when your provider decides that you need to see, let's just say, if we didn't do dermatology, which we do, but we didn't have that service, then it would go to our non-VA care department, and that non-VA care department would make that connection within the community to provide that service.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's real good. Because Richmond is well blessed with, by having Reed. I mean, they have a wealth of services, and it looks like, just from looking at it, it looks like that they would use that or somehow have a partnership there with the VA. Because there are a lot of veterans that I think that need to really kind of get involved with getting their medicals and all that kind of stuff dealt with. So, but I think people, when it was before we got the new building, maybe is a little hesitant because they hear different stories and they just don't want to get involved. Yeah. So.
Well, I know I'm still finding people that didn't know that we had the old facility, down on South A. And when I talk about, well, how long has that been here? How long have they had a clinic here in Richmond? Well, it's been a minute. Okay.
It actually started in Hagerstown in
01, I believe.
01.
2001.
Okay, and there was only one PAC team, and care was taken care of there. But they thought it would serve the community better if they moved it. They moved it to Richmond. So they moved it to Richmond.
I think it was 2002.
2002. And we've continued to grow since then. I mean, we're always adding services.
Yeah.
We have a move program there at the new facility as well for patients with help with weight reduction and dietary concerns and things. that nature.
Optometry, podiatry.
Low vision clinic.
Right.
There's quite a few things that we offer.
What about dental? Any
Dental is not here, but that is something that if your providers, I think you also have, there's a certain amount of service connectedness that you have to have in order to be able to be seen in dental. But you can be consulted. There is a dental services back in the main campus in Dayton.
How do you determine when you have nurses by the head of nursing, if you have a new nurse that's coming in and everything, do they go through a screening process and all that kind of things? I guess they do, probably.
Right. All the job applicants apply through USA Jobs. All of our open positions are posted through USA Jobs. And then HR sorts through the requirements that are outlined on the posting, and then the list is sent to us. And then we do the interviews and make the selection, and then everything goes back to HR. And there are some credentialing requirements that they go through before they come to us.
Sure.
You know, eligibility of use of the facility is a question for a lot of folks. I run into a lot of guys who think that they have to have had actual combat, experience, or during wartime or during their time of service before they would be qualified to utilize the VA facilities here. And that's not true, right?
No, that's not true. Yeah. A veteran can be seen at our facility if they're service-connected or non-service-connected, and also based on their ability to pay. There are also certain categories of veterans based upon those who have served in a combat situation. Those guys, that also meets another eligibility requirement that allows you to be seen. So you need to just fill out the 1010EZ and bring in a copy of your discharge paperwork, and we can submit that for your enrollment and let the VBA determine whether or not you can be seen at our facility. I don't want to turn anybody away. It's better to come and ask the question and try to be enrolled versus just assuming that you can't be seen. Just at least give it a try.
So what level of discharge would disqualify someone, i.e. if they've got a unsuitability or discharge for the good of the service or something other than an honorable, would they still be?
Unless it's dishonorable, chances are that's going to be dishonorable will probably be the only way.
I've run into some guys in situations like that. And
like I said, we're the Veterans Health Administration. We don't determine whether or not you can be seen. We help you get enrolled.
Okay.
But we leave VBA things to VBA.
So it goes up there and they decide.
Yes, it's usually a pretty quick turnaround. They usually can find out within a few weeks whether or not you're eligible to be seen at the VA.
So just because they come in and, if you will, fill out an application or what that enrollment form is, that doesn't automatically give them enrollment. That has to go through an approval process also.
Yes.
So they're not going to, if you're a veteran and you walk in and you've got some issues, let's say, and it's going to be a while before that person can really be seen. Is that what you're saying? Is that correct?
Well, like I said, it can be done as quickly as in a week. So it just depends on what the amount of enrollees at that particular time.
That's pretty quick turnaround to get enrolled in a system as big as the VA. So.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen a acceleration, if you will, of service since we've moved. Just a week or so ago, I called and to get a regular appointment with my provider, Dr. Mills, and it was going to be a month out, and I said, well, I'm in pain. And they said, I'll call you back. They called me back. I was in about 3 days. I was able to see Dr.
They've been really good to me. I mean, Dr. Mills is my doctor, and Lisa's my nurse. And I don't know and if I would call and I said, look, I've got to see him today. I mean, she'd get me in seen within just a couple hours. Somehow that would work itself out. So that's pretty good service. I mean, if you could do that all the time, that would be, everybody would be a great world. But everybody'd run that crash and burn all the time. Wait till they're crawling around and then go in and say, I'm sick, buddy, I need help or something. That's crazy. Because I think sometimes, unfortunately, people look at the level of service, and if they have to wait, if you will, then they don't think it's as good. If they have to wait an hour, which realistically in the doctor's office an hour is nothing, but at the same time, if you're in and out quick, that was something I noticed the day that I was there, because I was kind of watching guys come and flow, because I get interested in people and what their mannerisms are and stuff like that, and it was interesting how flow was good, and the guy at the front desk really did a good job when they come in and had other appointments to make and stuff like that. It was like that was done quickly. He was in and out. So that's running things very efficiently, I think. That's really a good way to do it.
Our way of doing things now is different. It's changed with the new clinic.
Oh, yeah,
We're
you can
rooming the
tell.
patient. We're not taking the patient from room to room to room. Everybody's coming to you.
That's good.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So do you work more hours than just a standard work week, or are you involved in any services after that, or do you have to, is it just a normal, let's say, work week?
It's pretty much a normal work week. I mean, with anything, there's going to be times when you're going to stay a little bit later, but for the most part, it's a pretty standard work week.
Is there any, without being too, I know you got to be hip along all that, but are there any cases or types of cases you see that seem to be in an inordinate amount, or as far as having to provide a service? PTSD, drug issues, things that veterans
We do
affected
have PTS support groups. We do have those for substance abuse as well. But have we ever done a study versus the the rest of the community? I don't know if we see any more or any less than the rest of the community.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think a guy, if they have PTSD, sometimes they may be not realizing that they really have that issue. And so sometimes when it's too late, it's a crash, if you will.
Yeah.
When they get to the clinic, they've got there too late where they can't get that immediate. It looks like if you had PTSD or thought you had PTSD, you'd get to the clinic immediately and see a counselor or sit down and talk to somebody about it. So.
Yeah. What kind of information would you guys like to get out there to the community with regards to what you're doing there? Anything, any hot button issues?
To help?
Yeah, how can we help? Yeah.
We're just encouraging veterans to come in and get enrolled, and because we want to make sure their healthcare needs are met, and if they can leverage us to better their healthcare. We welcome the opportunity, and like I said, if they come in, they're talking to their provider. Those are issues they can bring up to their provider. If they need help with mental health services or any other service that we provide, we encourage them to come in and leverage any of the services that we have available.
How do we do that? Maybe have some meetings at some of these other counties or things like that.
Just if you're out and about in the community and someone mentions they're a veteran, say, hey, are you seeking any of your healthcare services through the VA? They're available here in town.
Sure.
It just takes a few minutes. If you can come down maybe of an afternoon with your DD 214, we can get you to 1010EZ and we can get that information forwarded. Because not only even if you're only getting a minimal, like I'm a veteran and I'm seen at the VA, I'm only seen just for routine health care, but me being enrolled, gives us a larger veteran base or patient base, and so that brings more services to the community. So even if you're not leveraging it provides more services in this area, because they basically by per capita determines how much we're going to have here. So I welcome anyone who's a veteran to come in and leverage our service.
Which is how we qualified to get the CBOC in the first place, right? Someone determined that.
So once it grows so much, so if it keeps expanding, that would indeed maybe expand the Richmond facility.
Perhaps we get the X-ray. Perhaps we get a larger lab. I mean, I'm just throwing some things. I'm not saying that those things are going to happen, but the more people that are seen here, the more services we'll bring here, based upon what we're using the most out of Dayton. Because Dayton does have visibility to see where we're consulting to the most, and they'll go, hey, Richmond is sending a lot of people for orthopedics or prosthetics, and so they would bring prosthetics. In fact, we actually have prosthetics coming to our area once a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they come in and they fit people for walkers, canes, and other things that are prosthetics related.
Just a year ago, they had to go to Dayton for that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we have some medications that are dispensed by the physicians there at our facility, so it kind of saves people the trip to Dayton and have to pick up some of their medications.
Yeah,
so we don't have a full-fledged pharmacy with the pharmacist, but we do have a dispensary where our doctors, providers can actually order a medication and a pharmacist from Dayton can actually release that from the dispensary we have, and then the doctor can dispense that to the patient.
Oh, we got to go. My meds come in the mail.
Oh, you need to do that as well. Yes. And
I'm not on anything right now.
If you came in sick, you could get your antibiotic and take it home.
Is that right?
Right.
And we also offer flu shots in the fall.
Flu season?
Flu season, so, yeah.
Do you get involved in the day-to-day, like nursing? If we have 3 nurses, are you really involved
Yes.
with a patient? And tell us about some of that.
I see patients. I was an LPN last week. We were a little short-staffed, and I don't have a problem working any part of the nursing. I mean,
Sure.
I've drawn blood. I've checked in patients. I've been a clerk, wherever the need is, and I feel like it gives me more visibility,
Sure.
and it keeps up my skills.
Yeah.
Are you prior service?
No.
Okay.
My husband and son are.
Okay. That's what we learned to do, right? In the service, we learned.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you pick up those loose.
But I
ends.
started out as a staff nurse in that clinic, so I've done it all.
The nursing part of it, I think, is real important because that nurse is usually the last contact you're going to have, because you may go in for a blood draw or something like that, and you may not even see the doctor, but then maybe 2 weeks later you'll see the doctor. And that's what I think is a big thing.
Right.
That it really helps, because the nurses, I'm going to call my Lisa is really good, because she'll sit down and review medicines and get rid of the ones you don't need and stuff like that, and keep up to date. And I'm a real bug about medications anyway, so unfortunately I don't have many problems with medications. So, and she's real good about making sure all that stuff's up to date and doing that. I go take it down every 6 months and look at it. And
Oh yeah, and it's that you mentioned discussing different problems with your nurse. We also have My Healthy Vet available. That's just another thing, since you mentioned technology.
Yeah.
If you enroll with the VA and then you enroll once again in the My Healthy Vet program, you can actually secure message your patient care line team, and actually send an email and say, hey, I've got a question about my medication. Hey, I'd like an appointment, and they can actually do that all online for you.
That goes to your doctor.
It goes directly to your provider or your nurse, and they can say, they can either schedule that appointment for you, or hey, I need a medication renewal. Those sort of things can all be done electronically. I mean, you can have your smartphone, and you can. So, we're trying to leverage all the technology to bring as much, better
that's
services
good.
for the veterans.
That's real important that you have. I know Labor Day last year, I had an issue, and I called Dayton, or called the number that they had given me to call for an emergency number. I was surprised that a live person was on the other end of the phone, yet it wasn't, I'll call you back, or call us tomorrow, we're closed, and all that stuff. So, and I was really having some issues, which later was diagnosed as a problem. But the bottom line was, I was very impressed with being able to talk to a nurse. She said, look, if you need to get to Dayton, I'll call them and tell them you're coming. Because the issue I was having was not a good one. So,
I was thinking.
Go ahead.
We had a conversation on the phone yesterday. Carl and I, because I had an issue with a lost wallet and all that, and she was very patient talking to me and trying to make the connections, to find out what I needed to do to get a replacement. And then she came back and she said, "I'm sorry, it's taking a little bit longer. I got to get somebody to answer." I said, "Hey, I've been talking to computers all day. I'm glad to talk to somebody."
And we've moved to do that. We've actually had a phone system upgrade here since we relocated to the new building. So we're making a conscientious effort to make sure a live person answers on the other side.
I think it's neat, because I called in the other day, and I thought it would actually go to, because they had said the extensions weren't working, so I was trying to get hold of Lisa, and I was surprised when it rang. I think it was 6100 or whatever the phone number.
Yeah.
She picked up the phone, and I thought, I didn't expect it. So it was really, because a lot of times I can see that patience would be a big thing. Because just the way things are, people get impatient, especially if they have to call in and they're talking to a computer all the time. But if they got a live wire that they're talking to, I think there's a certain amount of calmness that the person will have when they got a real live voice.
Yeah.
And it's pretty hard to holler at a computer. I mean, realistically, raise your voice a little bit, man. They can tell the undertone of the conversation.
So what's the capacity of our new place as far as how many patients can be seen at a time?
Well, it's all determined by the provider. Physicians can have more patients than, say, a nurse practitioner. But it also depends what other services that provider. We have one provider who also does home-based primary care as well. So he doesn't have as large of a panel as someone who doesn't have those responsibilities. So we have a capacity of about 4,000, the ability to see about 4,000. But like I said, that's not going to stop us. In the event that we got more than 4,000, then we'll add another growth team.
All right.
I mean, we'll continue to grow.
That would be a good thing for Richmond too, if that would plan itself and just kind of keep expanding the services like that.
Yeah, it's surrounding counties. I mean, it's not just Richmond. It's the surrounding counties as well: Union, Randolph, Wayne, Fayette, Darke, Preble. Those are the counties which we serve, and like I said, we look forward to any veteran coming out of those counties to leverage our services.
Okay, we're getting down on the timeline. Real quick, what's the address of the new facility?
1010 North J Street here in Richmond, Indiana.
And that's right off of Chester Boulevard at J, right?
Yes, right.
Great location, man. Great. And what are the hours?
Our hours are typically 8 to 4. Okay, except for on Tuesday, so we open a little bit later because we have our meetings, but then it's 9 to 4.
Okay.
With that being said, we're going to close down this session of Proudly We Served, and we're really pleased to
Carly,
both of you could come today.
So much for
thank
coming.
you.
Thanks for having us.
The information is important to get out to the community because chances are after this program we'll get some calls and we'll start referring people because it's just the natural thing. And I think sometimes you can talk to a person on the phone, but there's nothing beats a personal visit or seeing that person one-on-one like that. So we're glad you came today, and we thank you very much, and we thank you for your service, both of you. It's kind of nice to see the clinic growing, and maybe we can be a part of that and help with that some, make it grow some. So with that, I'm going to say we thank you very much for this session of Proudly We Served, and we're going to sign off, and we'll see you next time.